Hi, and welcome to this week's The Mortgage Broker broadcast. I'm your host, Craig Skelton, and over the last few weeks, we've explored reflecting on quarter one, protecting clawbacks in a cost of living crisis, and how to fight procrastination. Today, we're changing things up again. Quite a few of you have told me recently that you're thinking about taking the next step in your career and setting up your own firm. And one question that keeps coming up time and time again is, should I become an appointed representative? If you're unclear what that means, don't worry. This episode will explain the concept in plain English, outline the benefits and the downsides too, and highlight a few things that you might not even thought about. I'm not going to be talking about specific networks, anything like that. That topic is for another time. This episode is about understanding the appointed representative or AR model itself, so you can decide whether it is right for you. So, first of all, what is an appointed representative? Well, in the UK financial service industry, an appointed representative is a firm or individual that carries out regulated activities under the umbrella of a principal firm that is directly authorised with the FCA. You're essentially acting as a representative for your principal firm, using their permissions to advise clients. There is a written contract where the principal takes full responsibility for ensuring that the AR complies with the FCA rules. You don't report to the FCA directly. Instead, the principal hands the regulatory reporting and oversight as a whole. So rather than applying for your own direct authorization, you step under someone else's umbrella and operate in line with their systems, their processes, controls, and their permission. Mortgage networks often use this model. They hold the FCA permissions, and brokers act as ARs or appointed representatives within that network. So why would you want to be an AR? Why go down this route instead of getting directly authorized yourself? There are several reasons for that. The first one is that there's lower costs and a quicker entry. Direct authorization requires a detailed business plans, proof of capital, compliance systems, and an application that can and does take months to approve. Whereas as an AR or an appointed representative, you can be authorized to trade in a matter of weeks rather than months. The initial and ongoing costs are also lower because many of the sort of regulation expenses are borne by the principal. Essentially, you avoid like the heavy lifting and spread the cost of compliance across multiple ARs. Talking about compliance support, one of the major attractions of being AR is access to compliance expertise. Compliance is time consuming and adds to your administrative responsibilities. Mortgage networks provide training and oversight, helping you with any changes with regards to the FCA. ARs can use the principal's infrastructure, including processes, procedures, and ongoing support. This allows you to focus on advising clients instead of building your own compliance team or compliance department. There's also streamlined onboarding and infrastructure. The AR route can be much faster to set up than building a directly authorized firm. Onboarding is often simplified because you use the principal's existing systems and processes. Networks often provide ready made software, RMs, sourcing tools, systems, templates, and support. This structure means you can hit the ground running rather than having to source and configure your own. It also allows you to test the waters. Becoming an AR lets you enter the market quickly and test your business model before committing to your own DA firm if that's the route you want to go down. This is particularly attractive if you're transitioning from an employed role or you're unsure whether self employed is for you. You can build a client bank, earn commission, and learn what it takes to run a firm without taking on the regulatory responsibility. You might even find that even though you had a long term goal to go DA yourself, being an AR gives you what you need, both short term and long term too. Also gives you that shared responsibility and reduced risk because the principal's firm is responsible for compliance. You have less direct exposure to the FCA. If something goes wrong, the principal bears the liability. Obviously, you still need to act properly, and you can't just offload your own ethical responsibilities. But this can give you peace of mind. Gives you peace of mind to advisors who want the protection of an established firm behind them, but still want to be an AR and be an appointed representative. So, what about the potential downsides and hidden considerations? Becoming an AR isn't a one-way street to freedom and success. There are some cons and less obvious considerations too. First thing is less control and independence. When you operate under someone else's permissions, you must follow their rules. The principal will set compliance processes, file checking requirements, product panels, and marketing guidelines too. You might not have the freedom to build your own brand in exactly the way that you want or to choose every lender or protection provider. If you value full autonomy and you want to develop, say, unique propositions, a network's framework could feel a bit restrictive. You also need to make sure you look at data ownership and client relationships. As an AR, you need to understand the network setup and where you store client data. Does the principal hold the records or do you? It means that if you ever left or leave the principal firm, taking your client list with you might be complicated if they hold all that data. Think carefully about how much ownership you need over your data and your brand. And if that was me, I would say you need 100% client ownership without a doubt. There's also the profit sharing and fees. Networks and principal firms do not provide their infrastructure for free. You typically pay a monthly fee, a percentage of your commission, or both. While this may still be cheaper than going directly authorized yourself, it does reduce your take home income. You need to understand how the fee structure works, what you get in return, and whether it's good value for your volume and for your business. So finding the right principal is crucial. ARs must ensure that their principal has robust systems, expertise, and adequate capital. If the principal gets into financial difficulty or fails to meet regulatory standards, it can jeopardize your business. You should perform due diligence just as you would with any business partner. Check financial stability, quality of service, product panel, and exit clauses too. And then moving on to that, look at like commitment and exit. Once you've signed up with the principal, leaving isn't always easy. Networks might require notice periods or exit fees. If you decide later to become directly authorized yourself, you need to go through the full FCA application form and build your own compliance function from scratch. So plan ahead and consider whether the AR route is a stepping stone or a long-term commitment. But the regulatory accountability remains, although the principal firm is responsible for compliance. You're not off the hook. You must still be fit and proper and follow the rules. If you fail to comply, both you and the principal can face fines, prosecution, and also as well reputational damage too. Being an AR is not a way to avoid regulation, it's a way to share the burden. You still need to maintain knowledge, training, and strong ethical values. So just getting to the end of the podcast, are there things that you might not have thought of beyond the obvious pros and cons? And there are a few subtler points that experienced brokers often raise. Branding and marketing. Some principals allow ARs to trade under their own brand. Others insist to use the network's identity or dual branding. I've seen all three of those happen. So think about how important your personal brand is and what impression you want to create. Do you want to appear independent, or does aligning with a larger firm provide credibility? What about technology? Compatibility. Networks may provide CRMs, source systems, but not all platforms are equal. Make sure the systems suit your workflow and integrate with other tools that you use. If you built a bespoke CRM, moving to a network might feel like you're losing some of that functionality. One of the big things as well is cultural fit. I can't underestimate this with regards to being an AR. Working under principal means adopting their culture and values. Does the network share your approach to client service, advice quality, and ethics? Are they innovative and growth orientated, or are they very risk averse and procedural? You've got to find one that works for you. Talk to existing ARs to get a feel for the culture. And what about growth trajectory too? If you plan to expand your firm, recruit advisors, or diversify into other areas like commercial or equity release, find out whether the principal firm can accommodate that growth. Some networks are set up for sole traders, others can support multi-advisor firms. One other thing as well is exit strategy and long-term value. One of the biggest reasons advisors Go directly authorized is to build a business that they can sell. As an AR, your client database might be tied to that principle that can impact the value of your firm. On the other hand, it may be no different to going directly authorized. You can still build a business, it's still your own, you just sell it as an AR. And running as an AR can be a smart way to build a track record and savings too before you take that direct route. Think about your 5 and 10 year goals when you're choosing your model. And let's just finish about mindset shifts when becoming an AR. If you decide the AR route is right for you, remember that you're still a business owner. You need to adopt a CEO mindset, even though someone else handles the FCA framework or the regulatory framework. You still got to think as a business owner. And so, things to keep in mind is ownership without control. You own the responsibility for serving clients, building relationships, and generating revenue, but you operate within else's infrastructure. Accept the trade off. You get support, but you can also cede some independence too. Focus on what you can control, your client experience, your efficiency, and your brand's voice. And it's about continuous learning. Even with compliance support, you must stay on top of regulations and maintain your competence. Attend training, read FCA updates, and invest in your professional development. And then look at the long-term planning. Consider that how the AR route fits into your overall career goals. Is it a stepping stone to owning a directly authorized firm, or is a long-term partnership that frees you up to focus on advice? Both are valid, absolutely, but clarity will inform your decisions. You need to have that client first mentality. Being an AR doesn't absolve you of your duty to your clients. You must still act honestly, transparently, and with your client's best interest. Make sure any limitations in your product panel or marketing channels don't compromise your advice. It's about resilience and adaptability. The market is always changing. As an AR, you may benefit from the principal resources when the going gets tough, like the current volatile rate environment that we're in now. But you still need to be proactive. Keep refining your processes, tracking your numbers, and maintaining habits such as monthly reviews and daily. So just to conclude, just to wrap up, is being an AR right for you? The appointed representative model can be a fantastic way to launch your own firm without the hefty cost and complexity of direct authorization. Offers quicker entry, compliance support, and a ready-made infrastructure. But it isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. You give up some of the control, some of the share of your profits, and depend on a principle for data, payments, and reputation. Before you jump in, do your due diligence, know your goals, understand the fee structure, meet the principal's team if they've got a team, and talk to existing ARs. Think about how the arrangement will affect your brand, your client relationships, and the future value of your business. In future episodes, I said we're going to get into about how to choose the right network, what to look for in a principal, how to transition from AR to directly authorized if you when you're ready. But for now, use this information to decide whether becoming an AR aligns with your visions. If you've got any questions, any thoughts, any feedback, or you want to explore this path further, just feel free to reach out via LinkedIn and we'll have a chat about how I can help you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Stay focused, stay intentional. And as always, please don't forget to run your own race.